What is up, beautiful people of the internet? I go by the name of Wesley, and today we are reacting to TierZoo's The Time Earth Glitched. I am so pumped. Y'all know TierZoo is one of my absolute favorite creators in the entire platform, so I am beyond stoked to hear more about this. I don't know anything. Literally nothing. I am flying blind. I don't know what the hell we're going to be talking about. That being said, guys, please comment down below other videos you want to see me react to from TierZoo, and other videos just you want to see me react to in general, whether they are other animal-based reactions, edutainment reactions, or anything else. I'm Wesley. Let's hit it. Ah, damn it! I never get it. That's scary. Is that a giant bug? What the hell? That's horrifying.
When studying the past metas of a game, the thing you'll end up asking yourself the most is, what were the devs thinking? Sometimes this can be because they nerfed your favorite builds, sometimes it's because they added a newer, more overpowered class to the game, and sometimes the changes they made to the overworld make you question whether the devs even bothered to playtest the update before it went live. And that is what players were wondering when the devs rolled out patch 1.1.5, the Carboniferous update. This update was a serious game changer for literally every player, because of the two main changes this update introduced. The first is that it introduced abilities that allowed Vertebrates to join terrestrial servers. Up until this point, arthropods had total control of the land, but all of this changed once the devs gave Vertebrates access to the Amniote skill tree. The most important thing this let them unlock was the Eggshell ability, which allowed them to move their spawn points onto land. It was looking like the meta was going to be rapidly evolving, becoming more balanced and diverse, so as you can imagine, it was a pretty hyped time for the community. However, this hype was quickly overshadowed by the glaring lack of balance across all of the terrestrial servers.
Is that spider just humping that poor lizard to death? What is it? How is it? It's just like, how is it killing it?
Due to the second change the devs made. What they did was bump up the spawn rates of plants. Why they did this, no one knows. It's my personal theory that the devs were just worried that there wouldn't be enough loot for all of the emerging terrestrial factions. Anyways, this was obviously a massive oversight on their part. Some players thought it was a glitch, some assumed it was just incompetence, but the end result was the same. Increasing the plant spawn rate also increases the oxygen level of the overworld. And guess which builds have the stats that scale the best with atmospheric oxygen?
Insects.
Arthropods, of course.
Yeah.
And so even though the devs were trying to shift the balance of power away from the arthropods by buffing their new competition, what ended up happening was that arthropods became far more powerful than the new terrestrial vertebrates could ever challenge.
This is like every arachnophobe's worst nightmare, right? This should be absolutely horrifying. Think, like, if you were the size... Oh, I guess there's a lot of mammals that are the size of some of the bigger spiders, so it's like that on crack. That's horrifying.
Tell you what I'm talking about. So the HP stat of an arthropod scales directly with the atmospheric oxygen level. This is why in the meta of present day, all terrestrial arthropods are stuck in the lower weight classes. With an oxygen level of only around 20%, they're better off sinking their evolution points into other stats and abilities. During the Carboniferous meta, the oxygen level was around 35%, meaning that with only a few points spent on HP, arthropods could have a ridiculous amount of HP and still have plenty of points to put into other skills like venom, armor, and even the coveted flight ability. Let's take a look at some of the more notorious examples of overstatted arthropods. All of these are S tier pretty much just by default, since the only competition they had was from other arthropods. Let's start with Arthropleura. This is a defense tank build with armor that could put a modern-day turtle or armadillo player to shame. The armor could defend against the fangs of giant spiders and the bite of ancient amphibian jaws.
I just feel like the biggest thing that's lacking is what's the scale of these? How big are they? Like, compared to me. On a scale of 0 to Wesley, how large are these? Or are they more than a Wesley? Are they like 3 Wesleys? I want to know how scared I need to be of this creature that existed millions of years ago, and I reasonably have no... I mean, reasonably, there's no way I'm going to ever encounter this in my life, but still, I need to assess the threat level here.
As impressive as this is, it's worth noting that this was even more OP at the time due to a lack of intelligence builds, which are the main counter to defense builds, of course. Arthropleura was a herbivore, which meant its only real weakness was, for the most part, irrelevant. The PvP builds of this meta had no such issues. While there's no shortage of terrifying aerial insect builds in present day, none would stand a chance against the eagle-sized speed demons known as Griffinflies. They had the same unmatched aerial mobility that modern-day Dragonfly mains do, but without the glaring lack of defense and power. Because of this, these players had a completely unchallenged dominance over the aerial domain, and were a nightmare for the struggling new reptile and amphibian players that were trying to break into the terrestrial meta.
Yoink.
By now, I'm sure you're wondering, how long did the devs let such an imbalanced meta go on? Well, relatively speaking, not that long. Compared to how they let dinosaurs reign for nearly 200 million years, the 60 million year reign of the arthropods wasn't that absurd. Still awful considering that this was a glitch that they should have saw coming, but oh well. After 60 million years of one of the least diverse metas of all time, the devs dropped patch 1.1.6 called the Great Rainforest Collapse, and by extension made the giant arthropods unviable. This allowed other terrestrial vertebrates to finally gain a foothold in the meta, and eventually led to reptilian builds dominating. Arthropods wouldn't become top tier again until insects unlocked the eusocial ability, which didn't happen until 3 expansions down the line in the middle of the Jurassic. But just think what the meta
there's so much information. I'm just like, blah, 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 blah. There's... What the hell?
would look like today if the Carboniferous arthropods were still
It would
playable.
be horrifying.
If the Griffinfly was still playable today, it would annihilate its competition. Its present-day counterpart, while highly mobile and definitely viable, is still quite vulnerable to the mobility-based bird builds like the kestrel and finch in its adult form, and to fish in its nymph form. The Griffinfly, with its higher HP, would at least be able to battle these predators, and possibly even overpower them. Personally, I think they'd be extremely powerful, and potentially work as a counter to the current top-tier dogs and cats, being easily able to score eliminations on them if they got caught out of position.
That's so scary. Can you imagine just like Fido and Kitty playing in the backyard and a giant dragonfly comes along and yoinks them? How did eagles not kill more house cats? Or I guess like pet cats that roam, or dogs? I've never thought about that. That seems like something that should happen more often, doesn't it?
If Arthropleura was still a playable class today, it would still be extremely viable in jungle servers.
That thing looks so
Although
big.
the presence of intelligence builds like monkeys might be problematic for it. It also would likely struggle to remember all of the passwords for its numerous social media accounts. Unfortunately, it's tough to survive in the current metagame without high-level intelligence stats, especially when it comes to remembering large amounts of information, like the insanely high number of passwords required to keep yourself secure.
Oh, here we go.
But fear not.
Here we go. TierZoo always has the best ad integration. Guys, this is insane. I didn't even know anything about this period of history whatsoever. I didn't even know that there was a period of time that insects dominated everything. That sounds like hell on earth to me. I mean, the dinosaurs would be really scary, but at least they're not quite as gross. Reptiles are cool. I like reptiles. Insects, I'm sorry guys, they gross me out quite a lot. They scare me, they give me the heebie-jeebies. Everybody who has a tarantula is like, this would have been the best time to live. This was heaven on earth. Everyone who's like an insect fan, but I'm like, if I'm power ranking my favorite factions, it's definitely mammals to the top. Skip number 2. Oh, bird. Mammal, bird, lizard, insect. Absolutely. That being said, guys, thank you so much for watching. Please let me know other reactions you want to see me do, whether they are from TierZoo or anybody else. And subscribe down below for more reactions. I'll see you next time. Have an absolutely beautiful day. I'm Wesley. Out.